land respectively, what is to happen to these lands in terms of future development?
Mr. Speaker, sir, let me first of all thank the Leader of the Opposition for honoring me with the first PNQ. As the House is aware, the Land Drainage Authority is operational since January 2018 in accordance to Section 3 of the LDA Act 2017. The authority was established by the government with a view to increasing the resilience of Mauritius to flooding through an effective and efficient land drainage system and a holistic management of flood risk. In this respect, the LDA has the following mandate. Firstly, develop and implement a land drainage master plan. Secondly, coordinate the construction of drainage infrastructure by local authorities, the NDU, the RDA, and other relevant stakeholders. And thirdly, ensure that there is a routine and periodic upgrading and maintenance of drainage infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, sir, accordingly, in line with the first mandate I have just mentioned, the LDA has initiated actions under the technical assistance of the Agence Française de Développement, AFD, to develop a land drainage master plan. The contract for this exercise was awarded in November 2019 to Suivez Consulting and a consortium of local consultants comprising of Mega Design Limited, Actera, Desmarines, and Sceneries Consult Limited. The final report of the Land Drainage Master Plan, which was submitted on the 28th of March 2022, has cost an amount of 70 million on a co-sharing basis, with government contributing 28 million and a grant from AFD for the remaining amount. Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to inform that this is the first time ever that Mauritius is having a master plan with respect to land drainage. I have, however, to highlight that the country has been witnessing flood since early 2000. The House will recall that in 2008 and recently in 2013, there has been loss of lives due to floods, and yet the previous government had not taken any appropriate and holistic actions for management of flood risk. And it is again this government, led by Honorable Pravin Kumar Jagnat, which is coming forward with a land drainage master plan. As a responsible and caring government, we are leaving no stone unturned to prevent any further loss of life, despite the fact that we are being confronted with drastic impacts of climate change. Mr. Speaker, sir, this government has taken bold initiatives to provide an unprecedented budget of 11.7 billion for the implementation of the National Flood Management Program, which has been prepared during the elaboration of the Land Drainage Master Plan when flood-prone areas are being identified. As the Honourable Leader of Opposition is aware, the Land Drainage Master Plan has first to be considered and approved by Cabinet prior to making it public. As a note of caution, I wish to inform the House that the flood-prone map identified in the Land Drainage Master Plan is dynamic and will be subject to review in light of the effect of climate change. I cannot understand why the Leader of the Opposition is indicating that information regarding flood-prone areas has not been made public, when, in fact, this has already been widely circulated in the media and has been communicated in my replies to parliamentary questions. I'm tabling a full list of all the press cuttings where we have stated all the flood-prone areas. And the PQ that was put to me by my good friend, Honorable Itu. PQ B571 on the 15th June 2021. So, unless the Leader of the Opposition is confusing between the flood-prone areas and the Land Drainage Master Plan. With the implementation, Mr. Speaker, sir, with the implementation of the National Flood Management Program, which is ongoing, the flood-prone areas are being reviewed based on the resilience that is being brought to those affected areas. These flood mitigating measures would be put under test and their effectiveness assessed prior to removing the flood-prone areas from the flood-prone map or decreasing their relative vulnerability. With regard to the natural drainage path, I have to point out that to enable its derivation, the LDA has had recourse to a high-precision digital elevation model. The leader opposition should be aware that the natural drainage path is not simply just another line on a map. In fact, it contains technical data which has to be correctly interpreted by competent authorities. I wish to inform the House that the natural drainage path and the flood-prone map have already been submitted to competent authorities such as the NDU, the RDA, the local authorities, and the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Center. The officers of these institutions have been trained by the LDA for the proper interpretation and analysis of the technical data. Now, any potential buyer or owner of any plot of land has any doubt of flood vulnerability can always consult the relevant local authorities for proper advice. The flood-prone areas are being defined irrespective of those being situated in residential, commercial, industrial, or agricultural areas. The priority of this government is to save people's lives over any other priorities, be it land development or any commercial development. Mr. Speaker, sir, this does not imply that the government is not in favor of development. On the contrary, we are favoring a sustainable development to adapt to prevailing conditions in view of climate change. To address these issues of development, the government has taken the bold decision for a representative of the LDA to form part of the Moselma Board, of the Environment Impact Assessment Committee, the Land Conversion Committee, and the RDA Board. In this respect, the LDA is in a better position to advise the boards and committees on conditions to be imposed for sustainable development and in view to mitigating the negative impacts within the catchment. In addition, Mr. Speaker, sir, before issuing any BLUP, the local authorities seek the views of the LDA regarding the conditions to be imposed. Mr. Speaker, sir, future developments on residential, commercial, and industrial land in flood-prone areas will depend on the level of vulnerability, while in high-risk flood-prone areas, such development will not be recommended. Whereas in other flood-prone areas, specific conditions will be imposed on a case-to-case basis. With regard to agricultural land, development thereon for agricultural purposes can proceed as usual. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Speaker, let me be very, very clear. I'm not talking about protection of the public from dying or injury from flood. This is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the properties of thousands upon thousands of Mauritians whose value may have been entirely destroyed. They may have been ruined by the report that has been presented to you, which is the flood-prone area map, which is not a list of the villages, etc. It is, in fact, a detailed map, house by house, as to which house is in the flood-prone area, the red one, and which houses are not. And I'm asking you, whether you don't think it is only natural that people whose houses have been put on these flood risk areas and are no longer constructible, ils ne peuvent plus construire dessus, ils ne peuvent rien faire, etc. Ça n'a aucune valeur maintenant. Whether this information is not information which should rightly be given to the public. This is what I'm asking you.
Oh, no. Oh, come on. No, Mr. Speaker, sir. Let's set the record straight. I think the leader of the opposition should say thank you to this government to have come forward with a detailed plan, with a detailed map of every flood-prone areas around the island. Now, no more comprendre, let me explain. You have to make an effort to understand now. Now that through what the leader of the opposition is saying, and I've just said, we have a report. We can't just throw out the report in public. First of all, the leader of the opposition has been a minister, has been DPM in the government. He should know a report of such importance is currently being discussed at cabinet level. Then cabinet will take decisions that need to be taken. Now when we are saying about, yes, some regions are flood prone, true, but there are different degrees of flood risk. So some, yes, we will be able to solve by building the proper infrastructure around. For instance, in Fond du Sac today, millions of rupees have been invested. Lives of people are being saved. Our priority, and I'm saying it again in this house, the priority of this government is to save life of our people. We don't want another 2013 where 13 people died in Kodan. Since then, nothing was done. We have had to have a government of led MSM government to bring this land drainage master plan and take cognizance of going to detail what is happening. Then, of course, now that we have the report, we'll act on it, and we are acting on it. And we haven't waited for the land drainage master plan to start working. We have already, because as I said in my reply, before even the master plans comes in collaboration with local authorities, we have already sit together and identified district by district all the flood-prone areas that we have. And today, we have a master plan. And the master plan, obviously, it consists some agricultural land, it consists some commercial areas. Now, we have that information and we'll act on it. And then once Cabinet has given its approval on the measures that has been preconisé in this report, we will do and will give public what needs to be given.
Speaker, this is not a public meeting, so I appeal to the minister. This is first PNQ. Let's stick to the facts. Now, this you said the report will be approved by Cabinet, will be applied, but that is not true. The report is currently being applied. And I will table minutes of the District Council of Black River, I have minutes of the District Council of Quatre-Bornes, where clearly the LDA is already telling them not to give permits, construction permits, and I hope you don't challenge me, because I will table this. Where already since April, local authorities around the country are acting upon the flood-prone area report, which you say has not been applied by Cabinet. So what I'm saying to you, since it's already being applied, you must make it public, because since April, people have been selling and buying land. And some people may be buying land which is totally worthless today, because you're hiding the information that it is in a flood-prone area and will never get a construction permit. Do you understand what I'm saying, Minister?
Now, let the Minister reply.
Do you
Mr. Speaker, sir, again, the leader of the opposition is confusing between, one, what we have already described as being flood-prone areas. That was done before the master plan. And that we have identified some 297 flood-prone areas. As I'm saying, this figure is dynamic. I think by now it should be 302. And out of which 67 are high risk. So, and as I said, the dam has already been given. I've said it in my reply to the local authorities. So today the local authorities know out of these 297 areas that have been widely published and we've talked about, they know where these are. So it is these areas that they are dealing with today. But the master plan, we have the copy that the leader of the opposition is showing. Yes, it's a true copy. There's only 3 people who know about it. Myself, my very competent colleague, Naveen Kedar, the director of LDA, and one of the consultants, which is a very close friend to the leader of the opposition.
I don't know what the minister is talking about. But I will tell him this, Mr. Speaker. It has been established now that there exists a detailed list, house by house, of which houses, which properties, built or not built, commercial, everything, which are on flood-prone area and therefore worthless for anybody who sells, for anybody who buys. People may have been taken a loan on the house, and it is now worthless. He has a list which he has not published and which nobody can contest. This is the issue. You may have put my house, I hope not, on your flood-prone area. But if I do not know it is there, because it is secret, you say yourself only 3 people know it, and then before you say everybody can check. It is secret, this list. And it is valuable for corruption also, this list. So this is secret. Nobody knows about it. I can go and buy a property tomorrow. I have no idea whether it is on there. Do you understand the need for publish it so that any owner in Mauritius, and municipal elections are coming, be very careful, eh? This will be a major theme for the municipal elections. Because people must know, because I'm told there are 1,000 houses in Catrebone, and 40% of the land in Catrebone is on a land drainage area. 2,000 houses at least in Black River. And so I'm going to tell you that these people, these thousands of people, my mandates living in Catrebone, they have a right to contest what you have put in here. Because some of them may be on the land drainage area and have never seen une flaque de l'eau. Ils n'ont jamais vu une flaque d'eau dans leur terrain, et vous avez mis ce terrain-là maintenant sur cette liste où c'est maintenant pas constructible, c'est worthless, et vous les avez ruinés. Vous comprenez ce que je vous dis?
Put your question.
That's your question?
Oh.
That's my question. I'm not concerned about land master plan. There's no...
Let the minister reply.
Well, there was no question, first of all, Mr. Speaker, sir, but if you allow, I'll react to this. Mr. Speaker, sir, I don't understand this whole fuss. We have a land drainage master plan. We have...
No, come on, this is not a good manner. Yeah, please.
Well, c'est ce qui se passe quand vous n'avez plus contrôle. We have identified places. There are places that today people have built up already. They are flood-prone areas. It's all known to everybody. Everyone in here knows where water accumulates. C'est un secret polichinelle. Et alors, il faut déjà comprendre que these flood-prones, the LDA is giving guidelines through the local authorities, what to do, what not to do. For instance, if you are living already constructed in a flood-prone areas, and you are under the road level, the LDA will advise that you now build vertically. So, we are building the drains, and as I said in my reply, once the drains are built, we have to assess this list of flood-prone. It's a dynamic one. We have today identified several reasons for why we are having flood in certain regions. There are some houses next to a river, which is called riverine flooding. Some are in low-lying areas. There you might have an issue. Others, obstruction to free flow of rivers. Here you will improve the river and the problem will be solved. We have presence of wetland and construction on wetland. What can you do? It's on a wetland already. Overflow from sugarcane field where we can act. Underground water seepage. So there is a series of measures that is being taken to solve these problems.
May I just ask the Minister? Very simple question. This is your map. You have given codes to every district council to access this map. I'm asking you a straight question now. Are you now going to take out the code and allow every member of the public, every owner of a property to access this map that you have, every house in Mauritius? Why? This is public money. This is people's properties who may or may not be ruined by what you have done. I'm asking you today, are you going to make it public, yes or no, today?
No, Mr. Speaker, sir. Because these contain technical data that need to be interpreted. We don't want to create any sort of chaos. We are taking measures. The list of regions that are flood-prone are known to public already. So, if the leader of the opposition is referring, for instance, to the land in Avenue Beato, we are building a drain, and the problem will be resolved. This is the only place in his constituency where there is flood.
Mr. Speaker, I'm going to be even more precise. There are some morcellements already exist, where people now are no longer be able to construct. Even if you don't understand, I'm sure Deputy Prime Minister will understand. There are morcellements now in Mauritius now. Land is being bought and sold now, and it's in your red zone. I'm going to publish now, look, morcellement Bismic or something. Bismic, no, morcellement Splendid View. Splendid View of water, apparently. Let me give you now the list of morcellements that are wholly or partly included in your red zone, which are no longer constructible. De Chazal, in Albion, Flic-en-Flac, Bismic, morcellement Anna, morcellement Splendid View, morcellement Signet, just recent one. All these morcellements now, these land may now be totally worthless. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And people must be able to contest what you have written, what you have decided, because it is only when they go for a permit for construct that the local authority will tell them, because this is secret. Only you, me, another person, you tell me know this. Do you understand the horror of what you have done?
So what is your question?
My question is, does he understand the horror that he has done? That is
Let
the
the
question.
minister reply.
Mr. Speaker, sir, we are into saving people's lives. If they haven't constructed yet and there is an issue, we should tell them as a responsible government. We should hide this information and let you build your house, and tomorrow you'll die in this house because of flooding. This is what the leader of the opposition is saying, to let people out there to die, like they have allowed in 2013 in Koda. This is what they are telling us to do. Mr. Speaker, sir, every morcellement permit that are given by the morcellement board. And LDA now form part of the morcellement board. Before even giving a morcellement permit, the views of the LDA has already been sought. Already LDA has given its go-ahead or no. But if today we come and see there is a problem, as climate change, we have not invited climate change or invented it here. It's happening to the world. So we need to act on it. And this government is acting on it. We have bring in 11.7 billion rupees over the next 3 years to mitigate. And we need to understand we are into mitigation of flooding. Le zéro risque n'existe pas. Alors il ne faut pas venir leurrer cette assemblée et la population.
Confusion. Nobody is saying that you should not protect the public. Of course. He's saying that the public has a... Does he listen to what he says? Il a dit lui-même, le public a un droit de savoir. And then, when you ask him to publish information qu'ils ont le droit de savoir, il dit non. Tell me, Mr. Speaker, what is now going... You know, if you look at the outline plan, the outline planning scheme, it is public. When someone buys a land, he should be able to understand what is the status of that land, whether it is on drainage area, whether it is on a flood-prone, whether it has any value or no value, whether it is cheap or very expensive. He doesn't know any of this until he has the information that you are hiding. So I'm saying to you, once again, like the outline plan that is public, that is discussed and after consultation with owners, then it is made public. I'm saying to you this, I'm going to give you a very clear roadmap, Honorable Minister. You have made this. It may have some value because you have made it from the aerial picture. It may have no value, I don't know. But the least that you should do before touching on the patrimoine des dizaines de millions de personnes, de milliers de personnes à l'île Maurice, you should consult them. Tell them this land here,
So what is your
spread
question?
in view, is in red.
Honorable
Have you ever seen a flag there or not? And
Leader
allow
of the
them to
opposition.
contest it. So you
Leader of
must
the
go
opposition.
first for
Leader of the
a
opposition,
contract.
I am on my feet. You should put your question. Put it. Give time to the minister to reply and take time for you to put other questions.
You're very kind, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for your advice. Now, I'll give you the roadmap. Publish this. Consult with people. Then come up and gazette it once you're sure that it is law. And then handle the thousands of people who are going to be very upset with you.
I am on my feet, leader of the opposition. Leader of the opposition, I am on my feet. Again, I am on my feet. Yes, I am on my feet. And you have to listen to what I have to say. You have to put your question. Don't make debate. Put your question and put as many questions you want. But you don't have much time.
Now, are you going to follow my roadmap and then handle the thousands of people who are going to contest what you have said?
Good.
Is that all right,
Mr.
Mr.
Speaker,
Speaker?
sir, let's make it calmly very clear. We have a dam. Natural drainage water path is being shown on the dam. And the dam is in the possession of the local authorities. And local authorities today, why on any deed of sales for the contract, etc., you have never seen any
Don't disrupt.
drainage path because even the surveyors can't say where it is. Today, with the dam, we can see where the natural drainage path is. When you go for your BLUP, the local authorities will tell you there is a drainage path there, how to construct. Now, people can build in flood-prone areas subject to conditions. They should know, then this again, the BLUP will state how to build, where to build. Now, coming to the master plan, coming to the map you are saying.
Order.
This map, I've said it clear, Mr. Speaker, sir. Yes, there are some serious decisions to be taken. But this cannot be, anyone can take this decision. This has to go to cabinet and let government decide. I'll bring my recommendation as minister in charge of the LDA to cabinet. And then cabinet will give me the appropriate guidelines, what to do, what not to do, and how to go about it. You have to be patient.
About cabinet. No, this is already being applied. This is already being applied. You're mistaking the drainage and the cabinet. This is already being applied by the local authorities. And you are saying something which is hugely important, is that it hasn't been approved by cabinet. You have taken it on your own to call at the end of March, on the 28th of March, I think, whatever it was, end of March, to call all the local authorities on your own, and this has not been you are saying to me that this has not been approved by cabinet, yet you are applying it everywhere. Can you answer that?
Let the minister.
So, Mr. Speaker, sir, the leader of the opposition is again confusing. What is being applied by the BLUP? What is in possession? No, this is not in the possession of the...
Don't reply to
Yes.
additional or supplement. There is a question on the table. You reply to that question.
The leader of the opposition is confusing, again, between what is in the possession of the local authorities. That is the dam. And now, whenever they have doubts, when they see on their map where the natural path is, they do ask LDA for their views. Then LDA give their views whether it's buildable or not. That's all. But whatever is in the land drainage master plan, no one has it unless someone has leaked it somewhere.
The question has substantially been canvassed. It's time, 12:04, time is over. Clerk, please.
Motion.
Madam Clerk, please proceed.
Motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move that all the business on today's order paper be exempted from the provisions of paragraph 2 of Standing Order 10.
The question is that all the business on today's order paper be exempted from the provisions of paragraph 2 of Standing Order 10. Those in favour say aye, those against say no. The ayes have it.
Statements by ministers, non-public list, second reading.
Debate. Minister Eduardo Yao.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the floor. Before I proceed in the debate, allow me to say a few things. First of all, to extend my sincere gratitude to the Honourable Minister of Finance and his able team for not losing sight of our proposal. Thank you for the consultation time where we got the chance to discuss thoroughly our budget proposals. Thank you for every single decision in the budget. Honourable Padayachi, you have been able to strike the right balance between the economic development and the social development and the leadership of Prime Minister Honourable Kumar Jagannath. Mr. Speaker, I am happy. I have all reasons to be happy and satisfied as the budget contains 46 measures for the people. I say it again, 46 measures. After all, why are we here if not for the people? Mr. Speaker, it is also important when we are debating the budget to talk about the context in which we have delivered budget 2022-2023. Mr. Speaker, the budget has been delivered in, I must say, uncertain and volatile time. The world is still suffering from the economic impact of COVID-19 pandemic when the war in Ukraine triggered another humanitarian crisis. Who could have predicted such global crisis within 2 years? Nobody knew what would happen. We, in fact, inherited two crises. One would say a tough 2 years as we have had to act fast to protect the health of our people through vaccination. As rightly pointed out by my colleague, Honourable DPM, we did what had to be done. Of course, the war in Ukraine has brought disruption in the supply chain and pushed inflation rates at a higher levels. It is still not easy. This is the reality, Mr. Speaker. It is a fact, not fiction. I say that because I'm very disappointed to see that the opposition either demonstrate complete lack of understanding or pretend not to understand the difficult situation, always negative to suit their convenience. That is why, Mr. Speaker, I am saying we have to examine this budget 2022-2023 not in isolation. We need to examine the budget in view of what is happening around the world. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, to deliver a good budget for the well-being of the people, we need what? We need good leadership. We need a Prime Minister who is connected with the people. That Prime Minister is our Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, let us for a moment forget the opposition. We know they always criticize, always negative, nothing is good enough. In fact, this is no surprise, we are used to that. So let us rather focus our energy on the reaction of the people. How do they find the budget? The opposition may say whatever you want. The budget has been well received by the people from all sectors. People acknowledge that there is a lot for them in the budget. They know that they can rely on the Prime Minister to give more support to people of low income and the vulnerable population. Throughout the two crises, Mr. Speaker, our ultimate goal has been and is to release pressure on the people. People understand the difficult situation is not the doing of this government. Of course, the reaction of the population from all walks of life do not please the opposition. That is why they are unhappy, irritated. They are trying very hard to make the people believe that there is nothing for them in the budget. But, Mr. Speaker, nowadays people have easy access to information through internet. They know what is happening, not only in Mauritius, around the world. For example, they know that the increase in the price of petrol is not the doing of our Prime Minister, nor that of the Honorable Minister of Finance. You know what, Mr. Speaker? It is sometimes difficult to listen to some on that side of the House. It is n'importe quoi, just to speak. No concrete, well-founded argument to refute government MPs. One might argue we live in a democracy. Of course, debates are necessary, debates are most welcome. But, Mr. Speaker, coming to Parliament to say, money illusion, disrayer, hypocrisie politique, s'acheter une virginité politique. Do you think they are serious? That's why they will always remain on that side of the House, Mr. Speaker. Whatever our government does is never good enough for the opposition. Their only agenda is to be on this side of the House by all means. Of course, we understand their aspiration. Some are very desperate for having been in the opposition for a long time. But, Mr. Speaker, to be on this front, you need what? First of all, you need what? You need to win the trust of the people. You need good leadership. You need to act on what you say. And above all, you need to care for the people. A Prime Minister who is ready and willing to step up and provide unprecedented support to his people in times of great need, like now. We are facing two major crises, humanitarian crisis, uncertainty ahead. So, Mr. Speaker, not to disappear in a moment of crisis. We know very well what happened in 1998. Giving people as much certainty and security as possible in uncertain time is very essential. That is why I say, in spite of all your demagogy, you will have to wait another 20 years to be on this side of the House, and unless you decide to join us. Now, Mr. Speaker, let us see what is in the budget. It is very important to analyze the content of the budget. As I have said in my intervention earlier, 46 measures for the people, and I'm proud to debate the budget. I can confirm, because I have had discussion with the Honorable Minister of Finance, I have had discussion with other ministers, we have had discussion with the Prime Minister. I can confirm no decision was taken lightly. So let us see together what kind of budget the government has produced. Let us rather debate facts. I love facts, not lies and fictions. I am now going to take you to something important, the substantial increase in the budget of my ministry, Mr. Speaker. Do you know my ministry tops the list of all ministries when we speak of budget increases? Never in the history of Mauritius has the Ministry of Social Security been invested with so much funding. There is a reason for that. In fact, it is our job, the job of this government, to invest in the well-being of the people. Of course, our priority always remains the people. This is a budget that reflects the strategic vision of our Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we are a government who always think about people and put them in our planning. And what I'm saying can be verified. I'm stating facts. What have we done when we took office in 2014? Interesting to know. It is important to talk about that period. At that time, the budget of the Ministry of Social Security stood, listen to this, Mr. Speaker, it stood at only 13.9 billion. Better not refer to the previous years, almost insignificant increases. And what did we do when we came in December 2014? Increase in pension was in fact one of the first measures in our manifeste electoral. I don't know if I have the, yes, here it is. So, le 12 priorité des 3 premiers mois au gouvernement. Augmenter la pension de vieillesse à 5 000 roupies. This is our first priority. So, from 2015 to 2020, the budget has climbed to 38.6 billion. 2022 to 2023, 38.6 billion to 46.4 billion, an increase of 7.8 billion. Du jamais vu, Mr. Speaker. Never in history has the budget of the Ministry of Social Security known such a substantial increase from 13.9 billion in 2014 to 46.4 billion today. I say it again, 46.4 billion. This is the largest in the decade, and I have a table here. So this is real, not fake news. Now the question is, if your government had increased pension earlier, today, the quantum, do you not think that the quantum would have been much higher? And now you have the cheek to say that what we are announcing is insufficient? Mr. Speaker, I think we need to be serious when we are in Parliament. Correct me if I am wrong, because what I am saying all along, I have evidence. Mr. Speaker, in this budget, we are once again increasing the basic pension by 1,000 rupees to 2,000 rupees for those above 65 years. My friends on this side of the House have lengthily canvassed on this good measure. So let me, however, add that between the age of 90 to 99, I don't know how many of you know that, the pension will increase from 16,710 to 18,710. And for our dear elders aged 100 plus, from 21,710 to 23,710. Mr. Speaker, let me remind the opposition that from 205 to 214, when they were in office, pension increased. Listen carefully to what I'm saying, from 2,200 to only 3,625. Sorry, 3,623. A mere increase of 1,423 over a period of 9 years. Mr. Speaker, I have the table here. So, you cannot compare this increase to that of ours. Over a period of 7 years only, we have increased pension by, can someone tell me, by 6,377. I heard one honorable member on that side saying, le ministre des Finances aurait pu faire plus. Il aurait dû faire plus. Mr. Speaker, I wonder where do they buy toupee? I am curious to know. Tell me, maybe I can go and buy some. Mr. Speaker, we need to acknowledge the good measures. We need to acknowledge the effort of our government. So coming in Parliament, criticizing, we are doing nothing, nothing is good, this is not positive attitude. Mr. Speaker, on a serious note, what would have happened if we had not invested so much in our people since 2014? And now I heard, on the other side, they are saying, now their worry is good pour casse. So I leave it to the able Minister of Finance to reply. He is a brilliant gentleman. Mr. Speaker, I heard one honorable member, I think Honorable Shakil Mohammed, a seasoned, he is not in the chamber, so I do hope he is listening from where he is. So I heard him saying, a seasoned honorable member saying, we have forgotten our elders, widows, and orphans for the years 2020 and 2021. Mr. Speaker, after so much substantial and continuous increases in pension, someone dares to say we have forgotten pensioners? You are the one who forgot our dear elders when you were in office. Let me go back to the past, Mr. Speaker. When the proposal to increase pension had been announced during the electoral campaign of 2014, what was not said by the opposition? Let me refer you to an article published by L'Express of 16 October 2014. I quote, il faudra trouver 4,5 milliards pour réaliser cette promesse, celle de Sage qui a annoncé qu'il allait augmenter la pension de vieillesse. More to come, Mr. Speaker. Et lors d'une conférence de presse hier, le Premier ministre sortant a souligné que ce n'est pas là une promesse réalisable, sauf si l'Alliance Les Peuples augmente la taxe sur la valeur ajoutée, TVA, de 5% et taxe des produits non imposés jusqu'à présent. End quote. Mr. Speaker, once again, we have proved them wrong. Pension, of course, have increased considerably, and here I'm not talking only of the basic retirement pension. I'm talking of widow's pension, orphan's pension, invalidity pension. We have even gone so far, we have aligned all the pension, because at that time, at that particular time, before the general election of 2014, the invalidity pension was less than the basic retirement pension. So, not good enough, Mr. Speaker? Now, let me refer you to the electoral campaign of 2019. At that time, we announced that pension would be increased to 9,000 rupees. Surprisingly, l'Alliance Nationale announced pension would be increased to 10,000 rupees. 1,000 rupees more than us. Fair enough. Funnily enough, in 2019, no mention of an increase in VAT to sustain the increase in pension. So, Mr. Speaker, do you find any, how can I put it, do you find any consistency in their reasoning? That is why the people did not believe in their promise of 10,000 rupees. They chose again to put their trust in us. They were confident that they would be getting the 9,000 rupees as stated, because our Prime Minister is a man of his word, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the opposition talk about oubli. Ensemble, tout pose vide. Ensemble, tout vente vide. So, you want to talk about oubli? Let us talk about oubli. Oubli was when children with disability were not receiving their basic invalidity pension. This is oubli, an injustice which has lasted for almost 40 years. Mr. Speaker, I remember having read an article in a daily newspaper where a mother was relating how difficult it was for her to make both ends meet. You know why? Because she relied on the salary of her husband only, which was the only breadwinner of the family. So she could not work, as she had to take care of a child aged 5 years, and the child was severely handicapped. The child needed the constant care and attention of her mother. So, on this side of the house, on venait d'être élu. I was at that time Minister of Social Security. So I found that strange. Why is it that the child who is suffering from a disability was not deriving an invalidity pension? But, Mr. Speaker, it did not take me long to realize that there was, in fact, a barrier, an age criteria which prevented children less than 15 years to benefit from an invalidity pension. So, you know, then at that time, I had discussion with the Prime Minister. I think, if my memory serves me right, he was Minister of Finance. I don't know, but I do know that we had discussion, and immediately decision was taken to remove the barrier. Mr. Speaker, I tell this story for one reason: to illustrate our consideration for the people and willingness to bring meaningful changes. And today they are saying that we have robbed our pensioners, widows, and orphans. Mr. Speaker, how irresponsible. Mr. Speaker, on a very important issue, allow me to rebut Honorable Mohammed on the issue of Muslim widows. Unfortunately, he is not in the chamber. So again, I do hope that he's listening. I have listened. I was in the chamber at that time when he was intervening, so I have listened very carefully to him. Honorable member has mixed issues, I must say. His argument is wrong. I will tell you why. But before I debate on this aspect, I want to say nothing personal, no hard feelings. I'm just stating facts because it is important for us to set the record straight. Honorable member, let me quote part of what honorable member said. In 1991, the MMM was in government. If memory serves me correctly, and things were brought right, the MMM could make the MSM see straight, end quote. Mr. Speaker, I was puzzled by what he said. He has been very selective in his argument indeed. So the questions are, who brought the amendment to the Civil Status Act in 1990? First question. The answer is Sir Anirudh Jagannath. Who set up a committee chaired by late Justice Ahmed to look into the whole issue at that material time? Again, late Sir Anirudh Jagannath. Third question, who conducted meetings with various religious bodies? The answer is Sir Anirudh Jagannath. Who set up the Muslim Family Council? Again, Sir Anirudh Jagannath. And I can go further, Mr. Speaker. Let me quote late Sir Anirudh Jagannath when he intervened on the Civil Status Act, Amendment Number 2 Bill, 1990. What did he say? I quote, Mr. Speaker, the document is with me, evidence. Mr. Speaker, sir, I trust that these new provisions will satisfy the requirements of the Muslim community, end quote. Of course, he was debating, so I will not go through the whole debate, so I'm quoting part of it, what I think important. This sentence, Mr. Speaker, in fact conveys the feeling of late Sir Anirudh Jagannath for the Muslim community. He wanted to assure the Muslim community that the MSM was here for the whole people. So, the other question, Mr. Speaker, why in 2014, when your government, I'm referring to Honorable Shakil Mohammed, at the eve of the general election of 2014, introduced the surviving partners allowance to cover only the period of 1987 to 1990. Honorable member remained silent. Why? We need to know. As far as I remember, at that particular time, Honorable Member Shakil Mohammed was Minister of Labour and Mrs. Bapu was Minister of Social Security. We need to know why at that particular time he was in government, he remained silent and only period 1987 to 1990 was covered. Why did the then government brush aside widows who do not fall within this period? Why? Very strange indeed, Mr. Speaker. You have been in government from 2005 to 2014, and long period of 10 years you have covered only a certain period. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe you did raise the issue with the then Prime Minister, but it fell on, how you say, on deaf ears. In fact, Mr. Speaker, Honorable Shakil Mohammed himself, he admitted in Parliament, sitting of 30th October 2018, I quote, listen to this, when I was part of government, we had a ministerial committee, nothing happened, end quote. Yes. So, if you truly had the will, you should have made it happen, as you have served the country for almost 10 years. So, therefore, Mr. Speaker, be humble enough to give credit where it is due. I would have expected honourable member to express gratitude to the government of the day instead of blaming the MSM party. Of course, we have not yet worked on the modalities. This is something else. But, Mr. Speaker, sorry?
No, don't, please. Stop interrupting the please. If you have a point of order.
Any point of order?
If you don't have any point of order, remain quiet. You have a point of
Speaker,
order?
with all due respect to you, the Honourable Lady,
No,
It's
you're
not
debating with the. No, it's not good. It's not a good precedent. You are inexperienced. It's not a good precedent. One day you will be in power. One day you will be in power. Don't defeat the standing orders, okay? This is the question.
No, Mr. Speaker, I don't know how this is causing inconvenience to you people, because, as I have said, since I started my intervention, I am relating to facts, not lies. You can check what I'm saying. So you can correct me if I am wrong.
Continue.
So you turn a blind eye on the main issue, so you have corrected only the period of 1987 to 1990 by introducing the surviving partners allowance, and you have brushed away the other period. So we are concerned about the tardy registration of Muslim religious marriage. And, Mr. Speaker, the bottom line is that the proposal in the budget will surely allow Muslim widows to register tardily their religious marriage. And, one should appreciate our effort. It took time and effort to reach this point. No government before has dared to touch upon this issue. So I can tell you it has not been an easy task. Many issues were involved. My ministry has had many consultations with the Prime Minister's Office, the Ministry of Finance, the Civil Status Office, the State Law Office, the Muslim Family Council, before finalizing on what is in the budget. Mr. Speaker, I will say this measure would not have been in the budget if the Prime Minister had not supported me. All credit goes to our Prime Minister. On this side of the House, we appreciate the willingness of our Prime Minister to bring meaningful change. And you know, Mr. Speaker, this is very important when you want to when you put people at the center, you have to care for them. You have to address all the injustices. You have to see that they are getting all the support. You can't leave them behind. Mr. Speaker, let me now turn to a very special measure announced in the budget 2022-2023, a measure very close to my heart, same as, I think, Honorable Béranger, the disability allowance of 2,500 for persons suffering from a disability between 40% to 59%. Yes, yesterday I have listened to Honorable Béranger. I'm glad that in his intervention, Honorable Béranger acknowledged that this is, in fact, a good measure. Well, he also said that the amount is, of 2,500 is insufficient. But let me reassure him that, you know, we are doing what we can in this difficult time to help the vulnerable people. And I must also say that, you know, the 2,500 is over and above the social aid. So if someone will be getting the 2,500 rupees, this does not mean that there will be a cut in the social aid. So, Mr. Speaker, having said that, I would be the first to say that we have to do more for the vulnerable people, and I mean it. Now let me respond to Honorable Juman. Honorable Member, you intervened yesterday and said that you cannot understand how come the pension of two, I don't know if you say one or two, have been discontinued. I was not in the chamber, I was listening in office. So I don't know if you say one or two, but you mentioned two persons, I think. So, yes, of course, we also on this side of the House, we sympathize with people whose pension are disallowed. But I did explain in the House earlier that basic invalidity pension is awarded following a medical assessment made not by me, by the medical board. And let me reassure you, if the pension of those two people have been disallowed, there are avenues. They can make an appeal. And if the appeal, we have gone even further. If the appeal is not allowed, the person can make a fresh application after a delay of 6 months. So this is the inconvenience. If the appeal has not been allowed, he will have to wait for a period of 6 months before making a fresh application. So, but it is worth mentioning that the statistics show that the number of appeals allowed are much less than the number of appeals disallowed. So what does it mean? This shows that the system is fair and just. Otherwise, it should have been the contrary. So I think the chamber, the House need to understand. I cannot, as a minister, substitute myself to a doctor. The more so, we have a specialist and a representative of the SLO on the tribunal. Therefore, I stand guided by their recommendation. It will be very improper if I start questioning their findings. And here we are talking of clinical assessment. I'm not an expert, I'm not a doctor. So we should trust the professional findings of the medical board and the medical tribunal. So I will invite you to let me have the details of those two persons. I will look into it, of course, because as I have said, we are not here to cut the pensions of people. There might have been a reason, I don't know, maybe his health has improved. So I will check and then inform you accordingly. Are you satisfied? Okay. So, Mr. Speaker, well, Mr. Speaker, let me move on to other measures. So, I changed the policy with respect to assistive devices. You know, we were providing assistive devices in kind. I will not go into the details because, you know, we were having difficulty on delivery. So we now allocate a cash grant instead of assistive devices in kind. We have now revised the quantum. So my friends on this side of the House, they have canvassed lengthily on that, especially Honorable Babli. So a cash grant of 5,000 rupees will be given for spectacles, 10,000 rupees for wheelchairs and hearing aids. Of course, I do hope, because I am honored to be at the head of this ministry, and I do hope in the years to come, if the situation improves, we are in a position to increase those quantum, Mr. Speaker. So, another measure is the substantial increase in social aid by 20%. For the first time, social aid is being increased by 20%. So, these are evidence if the budget is not for the people, then what it is for. Mr. Speaker, allow me to touch upon some measures announced for the social integration division of my ministry. You will recall in 2016, we developed the Marshall Plan. Families living below the poverty threshold are registered. As at date, it is good to note, we have 5,780 eligible households under the SRM. And the House will also remember that in 2016, the poverty threshold was set at 2,720 for an adult and 1,360 for a child, capped at a maximum of 9,520. What did we do in 2021 in a spirit to alleviate poverty? The poverty threshold has been increased to 3,000 for an adult and 1,500 for a child, capped at a maximum of 10,500. Here again, we hope that in the years to come, we will improve this measure. So, Mr. Speaker, by increasing this quantum, we have given a chance to more people to get on the social register of Mauritius. Now they can, you know, when someone is registered on the social register of Mauritius, he can benefit from various support, financial, educational, training, and housing. So the minimum subsistence allowance allocated to a household stands at 500. This amount also has been revised. It was not revised since 2016. So now it is increased from 500 rupees to 1,000 rupees. Another interesting measure for the people, Mr. Speaker, has been the announce to allow persons with disabilities to enter the social register of Mauritius. The basic invalidity pension will no longer be taken into account while calculating income. So this is a very important measure. Now, more people at the bottom of the ladder, if they need help, I'm sure they will be captured on the SRM. Mr. Speaker, since 2014, this government has taken a series of measures to promote education. Our Prime Minister has always says money should not be a barrier to education. Of course, our duty as a thoughtful government is to facilitate education. So in this spirit, we are waiving the administration fee for full-time courses at the MITD and other public tertiary education institution for SRM children. So briefly, Mr. Speaker, we have the budget provides also the National Social Inclusion Foundation with interesting earmark, 35 million to provide support to families on the National Database for Vulnerable Groups Families, 200 million for programs to support children in residential care institutions, 15 million on a reintegration program of patients from Brown-Secker Hospital, and 10 million for a program on homelessness. Mr. Speaker, before summing up, allow me to say a few words about my constituency. Constituency number 19, a beautiful constituency, but which has been invisible before, completely invisible before the general election of 2014. Yes, no project at all. Fortunately, with this government, no constituency is left behind, as was done by the previous government. For our government, no constituency is bigger or smaller. This is why, for the last 7 years, constituency number 19 has constantly been experiencing changes in a positive way. Renovation, let me cite a few: renovation of plaza, setting up of 2 community centers. Can you imagine, Mr. Speaker, when we took office in 2014, there was no community center compared to other constituencies. We are constructing Mediclinic for the people, for our mandates, almost done. Construction of a multipurpose complex at Camp-le-Vieux, an elderly daycare center at Rochebrune already completed. The list is long, so if one wants information, so they can go through for what I have said earlier in Parliament or in the budget. So, Mr. Speaker, let me reassure Honorable Devan Nagalingam. We are, Honorable Kolenda Velu and myself, we are in constant discussion with the people of constituency number 19. We are on the field, no worries. So we will continue to do what needs to be done for our people. Mr. Speaker, well, I want also to mention that the budget to the address of Honorable Devendra Galingam, the budget 2022-2023 clearly made mention of an amount of 1 billion for the improvement of the water supply, where Rosil is, maybe you have checked, is mentioned as a priority. So I do hope that the necessary will be done. I admit that there has been delays in the water supply, but this is not our doing, of course. We have had problems with the previous contractors, but the needful is being done for change. So in closing, let me say this, Mr. Speaker. Very important. In some 2 years, government will be judged by the people. Very important, government will be judged by the people on this side of the House. On this front, we are happy to be judged. We are happy, Mr. Speaker, because our actions speak. On this side, we are not willing to sit back and see what happens. We want to bring meaningful change in the life of all citizens across the island. We love our people, and that is why we are investing so much in the people. As I have said, 46 measures in the budget for the people. The funding has increased considerably. How much I said? 48.4 billion. So, Mr. Speaker, we must pursue, and that is what we have set out to do in the budget 2022-2023. Of course, any member of the House will agree with me that the remaining part is in the implementation. We have to make sure that we deliver on what we have mentioned in the budget. This is very important. Parce que à quoi ça sert de venir avec un bon budget, mais par la suite, rien en ce qu'il s'agit de l'implémentation. L'implémentation reste une partie importante de nos actions, so we'll have to make sure that our officers and ourselves deliver. This is very important, under the guidance of our Prime Minister. And I will end on this, Mr. Speaker. You can tell about a government by looking at the kind of budget it delivers. The budget 2022-2023 did send the message that we are for the people and with the people. Thank you, one and all.
Honourable members, I'll suspend the sitting for 1 hour.